This time on Graveyard Carz, we are one step closer to getting the 1970 Superbird done and back to the hills. But first, Mark needs a hand from his Mo partner in crime, Tony D'Agostino. Tony wants to help Mark get more organized with his parts and make the transition to the new building easier. But Mark wants to put Tony to work. It might be too difficult when all they want to do is one-up each other with Mopar knowledge. Does Tony become more of a distraction to Mark or inspire him to get better? Will the Superbird have a successful first flight? Find out on this episode of Graveyard Carz.
Got that car coming to get you, Barbara.
The unburied dead are coming back to life.
I'm Mark Warman, and together with the most critical man in the world, Darren Kirkpatrick,
give me a gun!
my son-in-law, Josh,
Oh, yeah!
and my best friend, Roy,
Well, all right!
we bring dead muscle cars back to life, to exactly the way they were on the day they were born, if we don't kill each other.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.
We've done really well on the Superbird so far. I mean, we're talking about a full-blown restoration shy of a few things. Motor, transmission, rear end, suspension, interior, body, paint, graphics, decals, wings, nose cone. I mean, a lot's been done. Just a few items left. Getting the windshield in is where we're at right now. Trifer's gonna come over and install that. At that point, I can ship it out to AMCO, have them do the necessary dial-in and fixes on the transmission, comes back to us, and we can wrap it up.
We came out here today to Graveyard Carz to put a windshield in the 70 Superbird.
My name is James. I own Willamette Valley Glass here in Eugene, and I've been installing for just under 30 years. And these are a pretty tight window, kind of a compression fit window, and just kind of has to go in all together. So we had a little mishap on the first one, but rectified it on the second.
We were putting the glass in the 70 Superbird, pretty much with one of us on each side, putting the window in. I had my side just about in, and then Jim had a little mishap on his.
The top corner just fit a little bit tight. We had one corner in all the way and the other one wasn't in. Yeah, they fit very tight. Just a timing issue, so you just kind of got to go in all together. Good communication, and you'll get it in the first time, hopefully.
Just got the windshield installed in the 70 Superbird. It's great to work on this car. It's not very often you get to work on one of these.
Yeah, just gonna finish up on the trim. We just had sealed it up, glass side and body side, and just getting the trim put back on, and we're gonna close this deal up.
Can't wait to see some pictures when this thing is done. It's gonna look great.
I'm really excited because Tony D'Agostino's coming out, my buddy. You know, we get to swap punches with the Mopar lines, find out who's the best of the best. Darren knows he's coming out. I can't get hold of Darren. So I'm just trying to get hold of Darren to tell him, let's set up time for go dinner, let's go do something fun, let's hang out, let's talk some Mopars. Not answering the phone. Darren, answer the phone. You need to call me back. No messages, no nothing. And I know what he's gonna say is, I'm not talking to you, buddy, because you took the manifolds off my car. Well, guess what? That ain't the only thing I took off, okay? Grandmaster T, Tiny T, Little T, what's up, dog?
Little T,
How
boy.
you doing, man?
I'm good. Mark, he's bought stuff from me for many years, but over the past couple years, we've really gotten a lot closer. Sometimes he's looking for parts, sometimes he'll have a technical question. Usually I can help him, and I'm happy to be able to participate like that.
It's good to have you out, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for coming out and helping with everything. Good Lord.
Sounded really stressed lately. And
You can say that.
over the past year, I've noticed that Mark has become more and more inaccessible. And it's not because he's ducking me. He doesn't owe me money. I said, well, let me see if I can help with some organization stuff over at the new place. And
Normally I do fine, but you know what it is? It is the new place, honestly. It's just, we gotta have it, so there's no way around it, right? You've been here before, you know that we're just jammed up. But
oh, we're grown.
they're growing,
We're grown.
right? Which is a good thing. Growing pains is a good
Right.
thing. It's not a bad thing.
And since you're going over to the new shop, you must have stuff here that you have to determine what's worth taking with you or not, or moving.
We've got such a mess, Tony. We've got a mess. Let me show you what kind of a mess we got going on out here. This is kind of a two-folded visit for him. He knows that we're expanding the new building to be able to house some different parts rooms. Parts for Mr. Mopar. We want to have Tony's parts. We want to be able to have his parts in one room in stock. We want to have legendary Autometal Direct. I'm not blaming anybody, but I've asked a few times to have some of this stuff straightened out and organized, and it hasn't gotten very
Well,
far.
look, after you go back in and start doing your office stuff, why don't I grab one of the guys and we'll start going through this best we can.
If you could do it with Derrick, or Josh if you can find him. I never can find him. But what's great about Derrick is, you know, he's got a brain, so he listens. And then he makes sure that if he learns something, that he makes a note of it. And so if you walk through here, like you walking through here in the encyclopedia, nailing all this stuff, he's going to get half of it.
Right.
He's
not the Scarecrow.
Half more than Joshua. Yeah.
He's not the Scarecrow. He has a brain.
From the Wizard of Oz, yeah. Right. That's what the Josh is. He's the Scarecrow.
Well, Tony and I have been out here going through the piles and piles of extra parts, trying to sort out what's savable, what's not.
Derrick's real good with the stuff. He knows a lot what he's talking about, but I'm able to contribute a little bit more. Normally when I go through junk parts piles, they're literally junk, but they worked on a lot of cool cars here.
Well, a good one to start with is this gas tank. Toss that.
Is it damaged?
Well, it's got a dent in one end.
Yeah, that's no good. Before you chuck it though, see if it's got the sending unit in. Well, that's a good sending unit. See, it's got the two lines coming out of it. There's a vapor return line, the smaller line, and then this is a 3/8, which means it had to come from a 440 or a Hemi car. It's a B-body gas tank. This is 68 to 70 B-body 440 or Hemi. Some of the reproduction sending units are problematic. And also some people may want to have an original sending unit, which does have a part number on it. And this is a real rare and somewhat valuable one to find if it was NOS, but these can be rebuilt today.
Excellent.
And that goes into save. Well, here, see.
Dig through all these door panels, interior trim, and figure out what's reusable and what's not.
Most used ones are going to be chalky, which means if you take your fingernail and run it on it and scratch it, it's trash. Same thing with the kick panels, they're trash.
Sun-baked.
Yep. Here's a grill, it looks like a piece of junk to most people, and literally it is. You know what this is from, right? Only one car, most iconic Mopar. 71 CUDA.
70.
Right, like the Phantasm car. So, but it does have the C moldings, and they are sometimes needed. And the funny thing is, you see how it's got the grill inset here? All these grill insets are different for all 6 holes, and they're numbered 1 through 6, so you know which hole to put it in. You know, there's only one here, but that might be the one he needs for the next job. So we'll definitely do some work to this and save some good parts off here.
Yeah, we got most of everything gone through after a couple hours, and it's great going through all this stuff with Tony because he's kind of a wizard of it. He knows everything, and the dumpster's full. It's off to a new task, but there's still another half a day or better is worth of cleaning and sorting.
I'm real happy for Mark. He's really got something good going here. This is huge.
It's huge, yeah. So I'm going to be driving Thelma and Louise around the block just to make sure everything's working. Trifer got the windshield installed in the Superbird before it left for AMCO for the final adjustments. Now, with Tony here to help Derrick out sort through some of the parts, I can do some of the more, let's just say, important things.
So yeah, it's excellent having Tony out here to go through all these parts. It'd be a lot quicker and more efficient if Josh and Mark were out here, but you know, they're off doing their thing, a podcast or something, so we'll see.
So what's next?
Finish our weather stripping correct, and then we gotta start moving to get cars in and out.
Can we do the weather stripping since you probably know where the stuff has to be moved?
That'll work.
Okay. It's not really a highly technical job, but it is you have to get the little white plastic clips into the holes just right, and then they slip right in. And I guess you got to make sure you feel them locked in. I'm putting the screws in, and it's hard to see where they go because it's a dark car. If it was a red car, or an orange car, or a yellow car, I could see where the screw hole is, but on a dark green car, I believe F8, you can't see. The hole's too easy.
One flashlight.
Thank you very much. Let me here, let's get it behind me. It's nice to see, for a change, a non-performance model Barracuda being restored in non-clone Cuda type trim, you know? The hood's nice and all, but it's still basic, it's still a Barracuda, and it's nice. It's as it was. Not everything has to be all fancied up to be something that it wasn't born as. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But.
Right now I'm waiting for a phone call from Bill Goldberg. He's got a podcast he's doing now called Who's Next on Podcast One. He invited me to be on. He was saying something earlier, I was talking to him yesterday, that it was a choice between having Dale Earnhardt Jr. or me on there today, and so I guess he went with me, so.
I'm very excited to talk to Bill. You know, this is the first time that I've ever been a part of a podcast.
Okay, world, we are back here on podcast1.com with Who's Next with Goldberg, and this week we have an awesome treat for you.
We have a full episode of Muscle Car Madness. None other than the War Machine, Mark Warman.
It's a great intro. I'm doing good, Bill. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Who's that scruffy-looking dude behind you?
Sir Scruff's a lot back here is Josh.
Bill, are you jealous?
I am jealous, man, because, you know, you have more hair on your face than I can grow on my head.
It was really cool having Goldberg give me a call up. He wanted me to be on the podcast. A lot of fun. Goldberg's got a good sense of humor, so him and I can swap back and forth. I mean, he's, you know, obviously he lags behind me a little bit in the sharpness of the whip, but he's took a few licks in the ring, you know, and that always makes you a little, just not as sharp.
And as usual, we gotta spend hours moving all this crap around to get through and out.
It's tight in here. I think you're looking to be spoiled at the new place because that's tons bigger.
The new one's going to be awesome.
I don't know how you do it. At least you got the light at the end of the tunnel coming.
Yeah, it is super annoying moving the cars in and out of the assembly room. There's not a lot of room on each side, so scratching it and denting it is always a possibility due to the lack of room.
Are you even pushing?
Look good over there.
The right side. Watch out, we're getting closer. You guys do this all the time, huh?
Yep.
Well, that's a little nerve-wracking, huh?
Just a bit.
Stock question. What was your first car, Mark?
1970 Dodge Charger 383 two-barrel XP29 LOG 118362. Burnt orange, over a burnt orange interior, white vinyl top, 323 open rear end, no air conditioning, console shift. Next.
What were the tires?
Pardon?
What were the tires?
Tires when I first got it were Cooper 14-inch raised white letters. They were probably a...
But Coopers didn't originally come on that car, did they?
Oh, no. Originally...
What came on that car, Mark? What is the tire that came on the car? I don't want to know the size. I know the size. What tire came on the car?
It would have been a Goodyear. It would have been a polyglass, but it wouldn't have been a raised white letter. It probably would have been a white wall. Goodyear polyglass. Yeah, I think it's kind of funny, Goldberg trying to put me on the spot there with some Mopar Q&As. You got to get up a little earlier than that. I know everything there is to know about the car. I mean, I had the car, and besides that, you know, Mopars are what I do, all right? Spearing people in a ring, knocking them silly until they lose their bowels, that's what he does. When you stay over there on that side of the ring, knocking people, disemboweling people with a spear, I'll stay over here top gunning the answers to every Mopar trivia question known to man.
Childhood hero.
Bill Goldberg.
It's true, too.
Not you, Josh.
Oh.
And thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily have like a fictional one. I had a real one, and I guess it would have been my dad. So.
Gotcha.
It's in.
It's in all the way.
Oh, cool. So all the light duty stuff, then you'll bring it back in onto the lift and lower it onto the suspensions?
Yep.
Sounds good.
And for the final question on Goldberg's or Fast Five with Goldberg on Who's Next with Goldberg, when's my frickin' car gonna be done?
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Mark, tell him.
Hello?
Bad transmission.
Hello?
Oh, I see.
You know, Goldberg's car, we've been doing a lot of different things on it. You know, I don't want to bore everybody to death with the details. Just, you know, you got to start with a open, right, and fill it in. And I suspect that we're going to be done. Bill.
This is how they operate at Graveyard Carz.
That's how we professional to the end, buddy. That was a lot of fun. I've never done one of those podcasts. I hadn't done Skype before either, but that was a lot of fun.
You know, Lunchbox, I had a lot of fun doing this today.
That was fun. You know, Goldberg's such a great guy. In 1970, you could have ordered a Plymouth Barracuda convertible with either a power top, manual top, or either. The answer coming up after the break. So how would you lower the convertible top on your brand new 1970 Plymouth Barracuda? Would you push a button power? Would you get out and manually close it? Or could you choose between the two? The answer is either way. If you needed to save money buying your 1970 Plymouth Barracuda convertible, you could have ordered it without the P37 power top option, which would have meant, like on some of the small sports cars, you unclasp it, you lower it, put it down into the position, walk away. Where the P37, you would have held a button on the dash that would have opened it and closed it. Visit graveyardcarz.com to learn more. Josh and I had a great time talking with Goldberg on his podcast, and things here at the shop are really shaping up. While the body guys are working on the primer process for 1970 426 Hemi 4-speed Charger, it would be a perfect time to take Tony over to the new shop, show him around, and get his input on the parts department. This is one of the funner things I've got to do in a while. I've been working like a dog over here at the new building, getting it painted, getting it prepped. To have Tony come all the way from the East Coast and hang out and be able to show him, I'm like a proud papa. I mean, I am. We worked damn hard for this building. I worked damn hard, nobody else did. So this place is a lot cleaner than the other place because we haven't moved a whole lot in, but
This is huge.
It's huge, yeah.
Hello!
Not quite echoing. It did when we first came in here. Yeah, so it's cool when I walked him in, I could show him the big ass lights and big ass fan, which is actually the name of the company that makes them, which I think is apropos. It's French. The lights, those are all LED lights from Big Ass Lights. Have you heard of them?
No, but that's a big ass fan.
It is a big ass fan. That's actually the name of the company, is Big Ass
Really?
Fans. Yeah.
Feels like air conditioning.
It's really interesting because he's seen what we have now over there, which is a nice little shop. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just 8,000 square feet, and of the 8,000 square feet, 2,500 of it's office for the guys that help make the show. So we're all kind of bottlenecked into this little area. So over here, we've got 20,000 square feet plus areas that aren't even counted as square feet, and it's sitting on 2.5 acres of blacktop. And the area outside is not counted for, which is 100 by 40. So what is that, 4,000 square feet?
You're gonna be spoiled here, man.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we put this wall up. That wasn't there. I want to separate the body shop from the assembly shop.
Smart. I'm real happy for Mark. He's really got something good going here.
This is going to be what we have right now in the way of our assembly room, where we wedge the cars in there and usually drop them and break them, you know?
It's a maze.
This is that version of it.
Your other shop is a maze getting
Absolutely.
around. This is a nice big open work area. Yep. He's making this Mark's place instead of walking into a place that he had to adapt to. He's implementing everything here, bringing everything in that he needs. Now it's purposely built to be Graveyard Carz. Oh, look at the logo.
It's Darren. It's Darren's face shot. Now you can't tell me it doesn't look a little like Darren.
We got the metal work finished on the 70 Challenger. Lucky got the body work done. We got it on the rotisserie. Now we're putting it in the paint booth, and I mixed up some CRE and I'm gonna go in and prime it. The main thing about putting down these first coats of primer is a smooth, even coat. Make sure your overlap is right, because it just makes it easier when you go to block it in the end. You don't want a lot of orange peel, and it needs to be flat. I like to prime about 90 degrees in the paint booth, and then I'll kick it up to about 120, 130 degrees and let that cure for about an hour. And then we'll let it cool down for half an hour, get back to normal temperature, then bring it back out in the shop and let it final cure. When the metal work's done and the body work gets done, by the time it gets into the paint booth, it takes most of 3 weeks for us to block a car and get it painted and let things cure. I'm excited about the new shop with the new paint booth because, like in here, I can just do the car on the rotisserie. That's all I can put in. With the newer shop and the new paint booth, I'll be able to do like the hood, the deck lid, and the car all at one time. It'll save a lot of steps and save us days in the end. Yeah, Derrick and I won't have to arm wrestle to get in and out of the paint booth so often, yeah.
You know, this is the first time Tony's been out since we got keys to the new building. I'm surrounded by a lot of yes people. That is, how do you like this idea? How do you like that idea for the parts room? Yeah, you're the man, you know. You know, when somebody like Tony comes out, he's in the parts business, and I'm telling him my ideas for where I think parts room should go, what I think we should stock, what I think we should inventory. Back over here, that's where your room, Mr. Moparts Legendary, the other little stores, so to speak, that I'm putting in there that I can draw my parts from. That's where you'll be. The floor's not in yet. I was hoping to have the floor in.
Okay.
But we got to put the floor in.
He's a Graveyard Carz parts store, and Graveyard Carz works on Plymouths and Dodgers. It's not real hard for him to stock the stuff, so he can put money and time into a stock room, and it'd be very productive, and there's not going to be a lot of excess or unused stuff there. And he sees that, and he's working towards that, and that's where I can come and help him.
Welcome to Camp Mopar, baby. Yeah, well, you know, I got 4,000 cars out here. Give me a second. He's around some pretty cool cars, but I don't think he's expecting to roll open a door and see what I have set inside. So you got the back side of this ground, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you're going to give me 5 spot welds? Yes. That's the factory. Okay. All right, do it. Basically, all that happened was the spot welds had broken loose on the vertical rear lock support to the rear body panel on the 70 Barracuda. I'd like you to remember one thing about these unibodies. Most of them were spot welded. Occasionally, there was some MIG welding. Years ago, we didn't have spot welders available to us. Now that we do, we're able to duplicate the original assembly line process, have it look the same, test the same, crash the same, function the same as the OEM manufacturer did. Once we got the spot welds done on the rear vertical lock support for the trunk, I gave it a quick self-destruction test on it. It held up fine. I know that it's solid. We can move on to painting it and back to the assembly process. So it's really cool to be a part of this industry right now when a shop our size, a small shop, can put out a car that looks exactly the way it did on the day it was born. We have the 1970 Dodge Charger 426 Hemi primered and ready for the blocking phase. While that's being done, Tony and I will participate in some mental mow sparring out in the new graveyard, and I'll let him think he's helping me inspect some of the new cars coming up in the queue. It's always fun once you get kind of business out of the way where you can walk around and talk about the Mopar, because that's our passion. Take a look. Wow. All fenced, all slatted, all secured, cameras everywhere, the safest place on the planet. And
oh yeah, you need the security here.
Welcome to Camp Mopar, baby.
First year CUDA.
First year CUDA, that's right. What would the option code be on a 1969 Plymouth CUDA with a 340? Because this is really what we do at the core of who we are, because we are the Shaolin priests of Mopar, if you will.
A57 is the 440.
No.
No?
It's basically intellectual boxing.
No, that's, hey.
But the A56 is the 340.
A57 is the 383.
And then they went to the A13, which is that crazy all bets are off.
Yeah.
Like the A12 and the 69.5.
You see the hood on that?
Oh yeah, I know what you're,
This hood,
except for this right here.
Right, well that's a bolt-on.
Right.
But these scoops reappeared also.
Let me guess. I just don't remember if it was the Twister, like the Twister 340 or the...
Come on now, Mark.
I think he likes to think he knows a lot more than he actually does. No, it's a Plymouth.
Yes, Mark knows a lot, but he learns, you see, and that's the thing. That's why he's where he is today, because he learns.
But he's learning. You know, that's the whole thing about him, is we, you know, through these little battles out here where we're snapping back and forth. Yeah, well, you know, I got 4,000 cars out here. Give me a second.
And he wants to learn, just like I do. I don't know everything. I've learned some from Mark, and I know Mark's learned from me.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with this being, these were used on a 1 year only. It was a 340. No, it didn't necessarily have to be a 340. It was a Sport, wasn't it?
It was a Twister. Oh. It was like a 74 Duster Twister. We'll test each other. We'll push each other, all in good fun. You know, we're buds, but, you know, I know this and you don't. You know this and I don't.
That's kind of stuff me and Tony snap back and forth all day long.
We test each other, a little ego there involved, you know. They brought back the scoops again.
They did.
Huh. Crazy. This is
a neat car. This is old Mike Converse's car. 4-speed, doesn't have the original engine, but does have a date-coded 383 HP for it. The original 8 3/4 under it. I think it was a 323 gear car, but... Okay.
I hope you have the exhaust manifolds for this.
Actually, he does have the exhaust manifolds for this. Yeah, very unique left-hand exhaust manifold. Right one's the same, right?
No, sir. It's very similar looking, and it probably didn't have to be different, but the downspout on it's a little bit longer than the B-body, you know, the more common B-body manifold.
Oh, really?
And it's also at a little bit of a different angle.
So it does have its own casting number?
Yes, sir.
Oh, didn't know.
Yes, specific.
Didn't know. I got to tell you, even though this is what I do and I am pretty damn knowledgeable at it, he's done parts his whole life. So he had to make a living by walking through a manure field of parts that people say are valuable, but he's got to know in his head instantly that that's an exhaust manifold, a left-hand exhaust manifold for a 383 A-body in 69, or is it just an exhaust manifold off a 69 Charger and it's not worth nearly as much money. And see the big hole over there you can stick your head through? Camera boy, look at that. That hole right there is because somebody probably raced this car at one time or another and wanted to put headers on it, because headers, at least theoretically, performed better than exhaust manifolds.
Well, especially on the A-body.
Probably on the A-body it really did because of that restriction that happened there.
On the A-body, you couldn't get under chassis headers like you can on the B-bodies or A-body. You know, on the small block A-body you could, because there's no room.
That's right.
So on the big block A-bodies, they had what they called fender well headers, and unfortunately...
They punched out through the inner fender wells.
Both sides, yep.
Gosh.
And
that's just terrible.
But that was back in the day.
Yep. It's great having Tony out, and this is going to be fun. I've kind of got something planned for him outside here. I had a customer drop off a car a couple of days ago that he had just bought. So between us, we should be able to get him a list of things that need to be fixed on the car to make it perfect, as well as authenticating and validating the authenticity of the fact that it's a JS29U car. That's a RTSC 70 Challenger with a 440 Magnum. So most of you should know that by now. I've been over the VIN thing a few times. So here's why you're here, my friend.
Cool cars.
I got a couple things I need some help with. Now, I could ask Josh and spend all day, and all he's going to end up doing at the end of the day is getting me a pen.
Okay.
This guy just bought this car a couple days ago, and he would like us, me, you, to authenticate it and give him some tips on exactly what's left on it to make it a nice car. For me, it's the ultimate compliment to have Tony out and to be able to walk around these cars. Going over the RTSC, I know he knows. And he's one of the few guys in the world that I can say that about.
Upon a glance here, you see this overhead light?
Absolutely.
You see what's wrong with it?
Yeah, it's puckered down right there at the aluminum.
No, sir.
Oh, the lens is missing.
No. You see here, I'm Mr. Parts guy, but that's a C-body light. The E-body light has a switch that goes front to back to turn on and off, because it looks the same.
Didn't know that.
But it's not exactly the same. See, that's a knob radio, and 1970s would have been the thumb wheel. The AM/FM would have been a thumb wheel.
Even the AM/FM would have been a thumb wheel in 70.
Well, the AM's a knob radio.
Oh, right. Oh, and the AM/FM.
And the AM/FM is a thumb wheel.
Okay. You know, we're inside this car for, what, 5 minutes? And he's able to point out a handful of things that, you know, I let him think I didn't know, but I did know. But still, the average person wouldn't know. You know, the average human wouldn't have a clue in the world. But obviously, I did. I just told him I didn't, because, you know, you got to build them up to take them down. Recently, Tony D'Agostino and myself took a 200-page basic Mopar knowledge test. True or false? I won. Answer coming up after the break. So after a 200-page Top Gun best of the best Mopar knowledge test between Tony D'Agostino and Mark Warman, the answer is chicken over extra crispy. The good news is, at least we know. Visit graveyardcars.com to learn more. Grandmaster T and I have been toe-to-toe center ring inspecting the 1970 Challenger RTSC. Now, while we're making really good progress on it and learning from each other, our goal is to make sure that the car has all the documentation before we tear it apart for restoration. Love doing the inspections, love doing them with Tony. Sharp guy. I mean, you got to get up pretty early to beat him. So it's fun when we go around the car and we're educating each other on a couple little things that maybe, I think in most cases, like I don't think he knew it. I think I already knew it but forgot it. But the fact is, he knows a lot of this stuff, and he has showed me a couple of things. And so ultimate respect to him, you know, it's brothers in arms.
Does it have a speaker fader switch on the heater control?
On the heater control?
Yeah, on the heater control panel, if it has a rear speaker, there'll be a fader switch there.
Oh, no.
Okay,
no,
so
no.
Originally it was just a
3-speaker dash car.
Right. I thought that when you got the 3-speaker dash that you automatically got the fader. Maybe that's not true.
Fader's for the rear.
Right. The 3-speaker dash came standard with the 4-speaker system.
I don't think you always had to get a rear.
Oh, might not.
I don't think you always had to get a rear. What if it's convertible? There was no rear speaker.
But you could still get a 3-speaker dash.
Yes.
Right.
So.
Right. Probably wouldn't see too many rear defogs on a convertible either.
That's where the power
That's
top
exactly where it would go. That's right.
What was the first name for the slapstick shifter from Chrysler?
You got me.
Okay.
Absolutely no idea.
The very early 1970 cars did not say slapstick. It was blank.
I've seen that.
Okay. And looking at an old original television commercial for the Dodge Challenger, Sheriff Joe Higgins was in there, pulled somebody aside for driving a race car.
Violation City Ordinance 11-14, operating a racing type vehicle inside the city limits.
Oh, Arthur, this is the new Dodge Challenger RT. It's not a racer.
That was their.
I remember.
Shtick.
Oh,
okay.
I love that. Those were great.
The driver's going, it's not a race car, officer. He's like, what kind of mirrors are these?
Racing mirrors.
Racing mirrors.
What kind of tires, that boy?
Optional polyglass GTs.
Racing tires. Them stripes, that boy, what you call those?
Racing stripes.
What kind of hood pins are these?
Racing pins.
What kind of shift is that? Well, that's a speed stick shifter.
No kidding.
Put that doohickey in that, boy.
That's the optional speed gate racing shift.
I've seen those commercials and never picked it up.
It said it.
But it didn't actually have it in the lens.
It wasn't
like
printed,
that.
not on the lens.
A speed stick, like the antiperspirant.
Yeah,
That's
great.
awesome.
Looks like you got some work cut out for you under the hood.
There's a lot of things wrong underneath here. I was looking at it a little bit earlier before you showed up. Did you notice the hardware for the grill?
Yes.
These are the wrong bolts. They never used a flat tip screw right here. This screw should look exactly like that screw. These should be black.
That's correct.
There's all kinds of little problems, so I'm gonna write those down.
Latch is painted,
Latch is painted, springs painted. Those are supposed to be natural color. Secondary latch and secondary striker, they're both painted. They should not be painted.
Asking what I see, one thing I see is...
You recognize the hood?
Yes, there's no crush ribs here.
When was car built?
Let's see, A28.
A28, October 28th.
Yes,
so
sir.
anytime before January, December, January, this would be correct for 1970.
Federal law was they had to have crush ribs.
Right.
Starting
January 1st,
January 1st, 1970 for the model year.
Right.
But there was already a quantity of hoods that were already made. I have an original paint Survivor 70 Challenger RT with a rally hood, and my car was a February build. It doesn't have the crush ribs.
Tony and I had a blast going through the Challenger on the ground. That's the first level where you go through from the tail lights all the way to the headlights and finding the things that needed to be corrected on, which is good because it's here to be restored. We weren't picking it apart, but we were just going through it and finding all the things that do need to be changed when it goes back together again. It's actually a pretty nice car.
The hardware is incorrect on the washer bottle, which looks like it's original, but it does have some wear to it. But they're supposed to be a Phillips.
They're supposed to be a number 2 Phillips. They're supposed to have a zinc pan head and have a loose washer, not a captive washer on them. Same thing with the H51 tie-down bracket right here. This is supposed to be a zinc with a number 2 Phillips screw that holds that in place.
And you spotted earlier, this AC hose is incorrect.
The AC hose is incorrect. I noticed that it's using screw-on fittings over there. I saw that.
Right. They're very hard to find, believe it or not.
And it should run up differently. It should run right next to that hole. Yep, that's the hole that would hold the bracket. It would be exactly like this bracket.
I may be able to help you with that. I may have an original at stock. Check with me later.
Okay.
71-4 trunk lid molding. It has a little ridge in it.
Has that style line down at this common on the 71 to 74.
Where the 70 was smooth. Just little style changes they made.
And the quarter extensions are actually built into
part of it.
the rear finish mold.
That's probably the only reason they are correct, because it's part of it.
Right, exactly. So go back and see, because I'm at the wrong angle to see, but it looks like a
Yes, it is.
369, 170.
Yeah, 173.
369.
369.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we have a numbers matching engine.
Good.
What do we have?
Well, that's what he thought, so I'm glad. I'm glad for that. Okay.
And on the transmission case.
Okay.
The car has the hard parts. It's not missing anything.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is probably the AC line. Otherwise than that, it's a lot of little detail and stuff.
Right.
You can bring the car up to a nicer level.
Having the inspection done on the RTSE is great. Looking around, that's all fun stuff. But I have kind of a surprise that I want to share with Tony. I think it's going to blow him away. He's around some pretty cool cars, but I don't think he's expecting to roll open a door and see what I have sitting inside. But that's Darren Kirkpatrick, the amazing invisible man. It's the 1970 Plymouth Superbird, one of 1,920 NASCAR program cars. Tony and I inspected the Challenger from bumper to bumper and authenticated the fact that it is indeed a numbers matching RT SE 440 Challenger. I still have one more surprise car for Tony to check out before I head back over to the shop and start getting the Superbird ready for its first flight. Okay, so this is the one I was telling you. It came up out of New York, upstate New York. It's been in a guy's yard for like 30 years. I think it was 78 that it was parked, okay? I didn't tell you a whole lot about the car. You can tell it's an R4 with the black blackout and black guts on it.
Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty complete, unmodified car, save for the wheels.
Oh, I was, yeah, they're just
you know,
rollers that the guy put on it.
It's been sitting, it's going to need a lot, but it looks like a lot of it's there.
And I've had a chance to look at a few things, but that's what you didn't know. That's what you didn't know was in there.
Whoa.
Yeah, yep.
426 Hemi.
Yeah, which was the only optional engine in 69 on GTX, right?
And an expensive option, too, at that. It was like $700 over the 440.
Well, that would be a lot of, so that's
a lot of
probably
money
like
back
a
then.
$2 or $3 grand thing today, right? I mean, I don't know what the money exchange is, but that's a lot.
I mean, look at the value. I mean, the original selling price of the car, I'm probably like around $3,400 or so, $3,500. And that's a pretty good percentage just for an engine that already had a big engine in it.
We're all done with the inspections. Tony's been here for days. No Darren. Horse crap. Been trying to get hold of him. Tony picks up the phone, makes one phone call. Darren answers like he's been there the whole time.
Hello.
Hi, Darren.
Hey, how are you, Darren?
Wonderful. Hey, Tony, I'm only coming there for you. I'm not coming in there for Mark. So where do you want me to meet you at or whatever?
Why don't you come out to the new building and we'll see you there, because we still got a little bit of work to do here on a couple, some validation on a couple cars.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, I know what Darren did. He tried to make me look bad. All right, I've been trying all week to get hold of Darren. Now, you want to play a game? That's fine. You know, I've proved I can play games, like the misplaced exhaust manifolds. Having Tony out's always a blast. I enjoy his company, I truly do. We can snap back and forth. We know what the Mopars are. I always learn something, all kidding aside. He always learns something, and I consider him a true friend. That the reason we got along, we got it inspected, we were able to communicate, didn't fight, my blood pressure seems normal, is because Darren's not here. No idea, but that's Darren Kirkpatrick. The amazing invisible man. Comes and goes as he pleases, does what he wants.
I miss him.
I do too, I love the guy.
Yes, it's true, I've been gone. I've been AWOL for 3 or 4 days at Graveyard Carz. I needed some quality me time. After I found out that Mark did take my manifold and our manifolds off my car, I made an exception. I did come back because they did need my help on the Superbird. They weren't getting anywhere with it. And plus, Tony bought me dinner. I'm a cheap date.
Now that Tony's on his way back home, the Superbird in the meantime, while we were over at the shop, got returned back to Graveyard Carz. We can get focused back on what needs to be done on it, so we can get the old Superbird's wings a-flapping and heading back south, because we're running out of time. That's the fact. So Derrick has just a little bit of paint work. He's got to jam in the underside of the hood. He's got to jam in around the holes for the hood pins. And he's got to fix that thing on the right-hand upper door frame. That's all he's got left on it. So what we got to do is we got to finish putting the seat belts in. I mean, we're close. The seat belts got to go in. Got to actually put the hood pins in it. I've got 2 or 3 clips underneath the hood. I still have my decals I got to put on. We got to finish putting the air cleaner on it and the hood installation pad. And I think that's all.
Okay, where's Royal?
I have no idea. I texted him earlier today to see.
Where's your best friend Royal? It's always here to help out. You always
Because
brag
Royal
about
doesn't
run
want-
me and Josh down.
What's
Where's
over
Royal
here
at?
that you're looking at? Will you stop looking?
Okay, you
Make
run-
eye contact.
You run
Nobody
me and
trusts
Josh
somebody
down
that
all the
doesn't make
time
eye
and
contact.
brag Royal up, and he's never here.
To ask if Darren gets on my nerves, that's the most ridiculous question in the world. I mean, Darren wakes up on my nerves. I go to bed with him on my nerves. He's just absolutely a pain in the ass. He doesn't care where Royal is. He more cares about driving me to an early grave. You know, the sooner they chuck a little dirt on my head and do some kind of a thing and I'm off this mortal coil, the happier that freak will be. Nobody trusts somebody that doesn't make eye contact.
I'm looking at
You start this horse crap looking up like that, it's shifty.
Okay, where's Royal?
It's shifty.
Where's Royal?
People don't like shifty. I don't know where
Your
Royal
nose is
is.
crooked.
I don't know where Royal is.
But you're always bragging about Royal running me and Josh down.
Because
and
Royal
Royal's
does
never
more
here.
in an hour than you guys do in a day.
He ruins more in an hour.
What's your zookeeper's name?
Arnold.
Arnold. He called for you earlier and said there's apparently some kind of show tonight up there and they want you and all the other monkeys out.
Yeah.
The reason I say putting the hood pins in requires a brain is because if you just stick these where you think they go and you slam the hood, you're going to put an inside out dent in the hood. You're really fitting this pin in a hole just barely bigger than that inside the bezel. So it's got to be a pretty good shot. I just don't trust the monkeys to do it. I'm sure if I put a banana, maybe surrounded the hole with banana peels or something, they'd have a better understanding of it, being monkeys. But so you always just start kind of with one and work your way down. And this is the part about these that I don't like, is there's no spring in them. He was saying he needed to bring that hood forward, huh? That was going to open this gap up on this fender and close up the gap on the hood. So I think for right now, I'm just going to leave that right there until he actually sets the hood the rest of the way. So we can put the lanyards on it. We just don't need to tighten that down. I think when he brings that forward, that should be right on the money. Yeah, let's try that one, Monk. Let's try this one. So it needs to come up and it needs to go that way.
So it goes down a little bit, it'll give it more length.
When he's still got to adjust the hood, so I think for now I'm just going to leave it alone until he adjusts the hood.
Those were hard to get open, weren't they?
What's wrong with this seat lever?
Okay, go help him. So while Josh and Darren are finishing up the seat belts, I'm going to start putting on the label kit. That includes the door VIN label, which is reproduced by ECS. I take pictures of everything before I take them off so I can reproduce not only the decal itself, but exactly where it's oriented on the panel. This also includes the starting instructions, which hang on the turn signal, the ethylene glycol warning label on the upper radiator support, the emission decal that goes under the hood, tells you what the idle is, tells you what the air-fuel mixture is. The jacking instructions on the Superbird, it has 2 jacking instructions because there are 2 jacks required. And I'm going to reproduce the original pencil markings on the inside of the deck lid that called out the original tire size. Right now we've got just a few more things left on it, not much at all. Like I say, Derrick has a little bit of paint touch-up to do under the hood. The main thing I want now is this car's completely drivable. It ran through the gears on the hoist. I'll just feel good if I can go around the block and back in it, make sure that everything's basically functioning. Then we can wrap it up in the morning and wait for my kill to show up. So I'm going to be driving Thelma and Louise around the block just to make sure everything's working. Getting ready to drive the Superbird. To say I'm excited is an understatement of the year. I used to have one. I had an FJ5 Limelight Superbird. It had 19,000 original miles. It was considered one of the most original Superbirds left on the planet. I had to sell it to fund my dream graveyard cars. So I'm really looking forward. This will be the first Superbird I've driven since then. There's nothing like them. These are a very unusual car. That aesthetically, to look at them, you're looking out over a nose that completely falls off at the end of the hood, but goes another 2 feet. But your eyes can't see that.
You know, leave it up to Mopar to make the coolest, sexiest, fastest cars of the time. You know, look at the Plymouth Superbird and the Dodge Daytona Chargers. Look at the wings on them, the nose cones, etc. The big old Plymouth on the quarter panels of the Superbird. They were just awesome cars, way ahead of their time. Nothing could touch them at NASCAR. As usual, leave it up to Mopar to make the best.
Nothing more relieving in this world than having that engine start up. Not just start up in any car, not just start up in a 70 Cuda with a 340 or 383 or a 383 Roadrunner. This is a 1970 Plymouth Superbird, one of 1920 NASCAR program cars. Still sporting its original engine. Now all restored back to OE shape. What more could a guy who loves working on Mopars, what more could I ask for in this world than to be able to work on the cars that I love and have them go from absolute rubbish to top of the line, numbers matching, best of the best restorations in the country, maybe in the world. You know what? It's a good day at Graveyard Cars.
Next time on Graveyard Cars, Mike Hill and his son Michael are going on a 4,000-mile road trip in their newly restored 1970 Superbird. But not before Mark and the Ghouls finish the job. See the complete restoration as they document, tear down, rebuild, paint, assemble, detail, and drive. Taking this legendary NASCAR from broken down beater to bird of prey. And see the unprecedented reveal when the whole Hill family and the original owners see the completed Superbird for the first time on the next episode of Graveyard Cars.